Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video, and today we will be discussing the latest Litecoin Manifest store update from the new Memory of Chaos shop that is going to be coming to us with the release of 2.0 Land of the Dreams Penacony. If you guys want to find out which Litecoins are going to be suited to your account's needs, then stay tuned, right? And without further ado, let's get on with today's content. Look at that, there ain't no stalling because there ain't nothing to stall. Subscribe! So this is gonna be our very first Litecoin, right? Deflagration. When the cumulative HP loss of the wearer during a single attack exceeds 25% of their max HP, or if the amount of their own HP consumed at one time is greater than 25% of their max HP, immediately heals for 15%. At the same time, increase the damage they deal by 25%. It can only be triggered once every 3 turns. Genuinely, this Litecoin. I think the only person that can use this is Blade, right? I don't think anyone else can actually use this that much. I don't know what Sam is gonna be like, but I guess if you're a Blade main and you do not have a S5 Secret Vow, I think this Litecoin is pretty good. But like every other destruction unit, are you gonna run this with Jing Liu? Are you gonna run this with Invincible Lune? Are you gonna run this with Pitch Dark Hook the Great? No, right? Respectfully, this Litecoin is very, very niche. If you are a Blade main, I do think it's not too bad. For a Blade main, it's really not too bad. Arlen, what's that, right? Final Victor, all in, right? What's this? Hunt Litecoin. Increase the wearer's attack by 12%. When the wearer lands a critical hit on an enemy, gains a stack of good fortune, stacking up to 4 times, which basically brings your crit damage up by 8%, which translates to 32% crit damage. So 12% attack and 32% crit damage. This Litecoin, at a glance, it looks pretty good, right? We have 32 crit value, we have 12% attack. It looks pretty fucking good. But class, watch, right? Witness. Do not get baited by Aventurine's Yabe face, right? Witness the last line. Good fortune will be removed at the end of the wearer's turn. Sword play, but worse, in my opinion. Because at least for sword play, the buff stays with you. The buff stays with you unless you change target permanently. So if you are going to be hitting one dude for the rest of your life, you will be getting a very, very big amount of damage percentage buff, right? That is not the case for the Final Victor. So unfortunately, the Litecoins, the only constant is the 12% attack. So the 32% crit damage, which probably goes up to even higher, definitely goes up to even higher at S5. Not to mention, you do need to land a critical hit. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys have played Honkai starrail, even on a 90% critical chance, you can miss your crits, which will render this buff completely worthless, right? Okay, somebody in class raised a very, very interesting point, right? Although this Litecoin might be very good because for Topaz, for example, right? Because if a wearer lands a critical hit on enemies, you gain 1 stack up to 4 times, which means that for units with multi-hit attacks, this is actually pretty good. Okay, I just basically think of this as like a sword play downgrade. The day the cosmos fell. When the wearer uses an attack and at least 2 attack enemies have the corresponding weakness, the wearer's crit damage gives by 20% of 2 turns. I do believe that this particular erudition Litecoin, it is an upgrade to Seriousness of Breakfast. I do believe so. Increased wearer's attack, crit damage, don't really have a lot of conditions, and most of the time, if you guys are going to be using erudition units, chances are you're probably bringing your erudition units to a place with, you know, preferably more than 2 enemies, and preferably they're all of the same weakness, right? So because of this 60% attack and this 20% crit damage, it is more or less permanent. And is it better than Peaceful Day? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Peaceful Day S5 is how many? It's like, I think up to like what, 70%, 60% damage percentage is super big. So it is quite hard to compete with that, right? You at the end of the day, even though it says crit damage, you still have to look at the unit's multipliers, like the buff multipliers, right? Even if it's an S5, double this, each of these. If this was an S5, okay, theoretically speaking, if everything just doubled, it's comparable with Peaceful Day. But I still think it's like worse than Peaceful Day, because Peaceful Day's multiplier is just way too big. I would say this is a Peaceful Day into Genius Repose, into Stratagem, into Seriousness of Breakfast. Something like this. Comparable though, I think for Litecoin that's literally free to get in the shop, I think this is one of the better choices so far. Right? Out of everything that we've seen so far. Right? Cool. Dreamvale Adventure. After a wearer uses their basic attack, skill, or ultimate, all allies gains Childishness, which increases allies damage from the same ability type as one Harmony Litecoin. So it's for Sparkle. Takes effect on the most recent ability type and cannot be stacked. Nah, Nah. Wait, hold up. It's really, really mediocre. It's kind of like Planetary Rendezvous, but it feels worse than Planetary Rendezvous. Yeah, it's not that great. Yeah, once again, I don't think like any of these like Memory of Chaos Litecoins at the end of the day, they will outperform a gacha 4-star Litecoin, especially at S5. So that's just something that players have to deal with. It's really not even that decent of an alternative, because like, okay, if you don't have Planetary Rendezvous, you can run a lot of different things, right? You can run Coggers for a lot of supports. You can run Duns. You can run, what's the other one? Past and Future. You have I hope that you guys have a S1 Bronya Litecoin, because that's skill point. Run May Signature Litecoin, all the kind of good stuff, right? So there's just so many substitutes in the Harmony department that I don't think this is that worth it. Opportunity cost at the end of the day. Opportunity cost. Okay, next. Nihility. It's showtime. When a wearer inflicts a debuff on an enemy, gains a stack of Trick. Every stack of Trick increase wearer's damage dealt by 6% up to 3 times. Effect lasts for 1 turn. When a wearer's effect hit rate is 80% or higher, increase attack. Okay, so it's 20% attack buff and 18% damage. They last for 1 turn. The second paragraph, which says the wearer's effect hit rate is 80% or higher, is a very clear indication that you wouldn't run this on like your normal DOT units, right? Kafka doesn't really need a lot of AHR, and most of our DOT units, you really just only run them around 60% AHR. Because of this last line, yeah, it does look like this Litecoin is basically the alternative to Black Swan's usage, right? If you guys want to pull for Black Swan, you guys want to pull for Signature Litecoin, I do think that for Black Swan specifically, this should be pretty decent, right? Fermata is better than this for DOT. Okay, the reason why I don't like Fermata is because I genuinely hate break effect scaling on DOT unless that specific DOT is meant to break. Like you really want to make, for example, Luca will probably really like break effect, but unfortunately Fermata doesn't even benefit bleed, so that's that. I feel like the only break effect units that could run break effect is physical, because physical just scales the most, right? Your fire, lightning is really kind of mid. Much rather prefer them to have higher speed, higher attack, higher HR, and just be a little bit more consistent. But if I really do want to run a break effect DOT unit, then I will just go all in break effect and then just slap on that, right? And even so, there's an S5 Solidatory Confinement from Herta's shop S5, and that is like a huge upgrade to Fermata anyways. So I don't think anyone should be investing in Fermata at this point anymore, because you do have the Herta's shop as the alternative, right? Is Sambo's Litecoin better than this? Yes, I think so, because Sambo Litecoin gives you 40% HR and 40% damage. So that is a lot of substats, right? You always have to look at this from like a substat perspective. 40% damage and attack is really strong. Okay, theoretically think about the S5 value, right? So theoretically speaking, it's like, it's alright. Nah, I still think Sambo's Litecoin is better. I don't think there's any Litecoin that can like outperform your gacha 4-star Litecoin, especially at S5, even at S5, right? So yeah, okay, we're just gonna theoretically assume that the S5 value is always double of S1, right? So we're just gonna keep that assumption. Preservation. Destiny's Thread 4 Woven. Increase the wearer's effect res by 12%. For every 100 defense, increase the wearer's damage dealt by... Whoa! March 7th? Aventurine? Okay, I have no idea what Aventurine does. But theoretically speaking, if we do have a future preservation unit that wants to deal more damage with defense scaling, like a defense scaling preservation unit, theoretically speaking, then I do believe that this Litecoin is pretty good, right? So there's basically a 32% damage bonus as well as effect rest, which at the end of the day is still something that you want on your sustains, right? Because at the end of the day, the main purpose as a sustain is to make sure the team survives, and effect rest generally just it's a pretty good stat for most sustains. So I'm good with this, right? Up to a maximum of 32%. Yep. We do need like a defense scaling unit though, so that's it. Hypothesis Abundance. Increase the wearer's break effect by 24%. After using basic attack, restore HP equal to 2% of the max HP. Respectfully, this looks completely dog shit. Like, I would never want my sustain, I would never want my abundance to be the one breaking the target. I don't know, this just looks so bad. This genuinely looks so bad. Like, even at like 48% if break effect and 4% of their max HP, it's just like, nah, man. DPS watch. Nah. Okay. Not only is this Litecoin looks bad, we also have a lot of good preservation, a lot of good abundance Litecoins, right? We have perfect timing. We have quid pro quo. We have post-op conversation. Oh my god, yeah, we have post-op conversation, and we also have the event Litecoin. If you guys were playing with Hue during the ghost hunting days, you also get a pretty neat event Litecoin, right? So there's just way too many competitions. So yeah, I don't really like this that much. Let's just wrap everything up. So assuming that at all these light cones, right? In summary, at all these light cones, if we just assume that everything just like doubles, this light cone, really good for blade mains. If you play Ireland, then what are you doing with your lives, right? Good for blade mains. This light cone is in my opinion, it is a downgrade from sword play. But if you guys really want to use sword play, you can consider. But then again, there's also S5 cruising in the Stellar Sea, right? Cruising in the Stellar Sea, and I do believe that cruising in the Stellar Sea's value it is quite comparable with this, because cruising in the Stellar Sea, you get what, 16% crit rate, which is 32% crit damage, and on top of that, you get another 16% crit rate if the enemy is lower than 50% HP. So in terms of raw value, even if this light cone doubles at S5, it just feels not as great as cruising, and just doesn't feel as great as sword play. So personally, I wouldn't recommend players to get this, right? Day of the Cosmos, I think this light cone, genuinely, I think this is like one of the better ones. I think this is one of the better icons. So assuming that we double this, 32% attack and 40% crit damage. If this is the case, I'm just assuming really good values, actually. Really good values. Because our next best substitute for a free-to-play version is the Seriousness of Breakfast, and we haven't gotten an evolution Herta Style Light Cone. So the only other two things we get is either the S5 Genius Repose or the S5 Change Light Cone, right? So I do think that this is a very good alternative to an upgrade that most free-to-play players and no spenders would not have access to. So Day of Cosmos, I think this is pretty good. Dreamville Adventure, it's not bad. Like, okay, assuming that we double this at like 24%, it is not bad. It just feels like a worse version of Planetary Rendezvous. And even so, we have a lot of good Harmony Light Cone options, like Dance, like Coggers, like Past and Future, like your Bronya Signature Light Cone, which everyone should have by now, by the way. So by opportunity cost, it's not that great. It's Showtime, in my opinion. This looks like basically it's just meant for Black Swan. I can't imagine any other unit running this light cone specifically, because no other Nihility units really needs an EHR of like 80%, which is way too high, because most Nihility units only need like around 67%, 57%, and you'll be good enough, right? So this is a very niche Black Swan light cone, but if you guys do want to pull for Black Swan, don't want to pull for Signature, you can consider this, right? Then lastly, second lastly, Insight, we'll wait for that to come, but until then, if you want to use it for your Fire MC, sure. Yeah, I think this light cone is basically just for Fire MC. Other than that, because no other Preservation units actually do damage, right? March 7 is not going to do damage. Let's be real. March 7 is not going to do damage, right? Japart, what are you going to do? Punch them to death? Right, so that's going to be that. And then lastly, Hypothesis. I think this is just the absolute worst choice of everybody. I genuinely don't think that any Abundance units ever need like what, 48% break effect. What are you going to do? Like your job is to heal the team, right? You're not supposed to break the target. So I really don't think there's ever a unit like this, unless Gallagher proves us wrong, because this is Gallagher's face. So we will see about that when that happens. But for now, this is probably like the worst of all. And with that, we've come to the end of today's Pokke's Classroom, where we talk about the version 2.0's upcoming light cones for the Pentacony Memory of Chaos shop refresh, right? If you guys are engaged in any further discussions, feel free to drop by my Discord at Pokke's Village. We have a very active community talking about Honkai starrail on a daily basis. If you guys want to check out my stream, like at twitch.tv/MrPokke, or my YouTube, which I'm also streaming at the same time. I will be live almost every single day. Schedule will be added on Discord as well, right? So that's all I have for today. All the best for a gacha boost, and I'll see you guys in the land of Pentacony, right? Take care. Yeah, well, that was pretty fast, guys. I think I'm getting like more efficient with my yapping.